impact on the backbone of America, the small business owner. And like we always say here, I always say, I don't know what else everybody says, but your small business is a big deal to you and is a big deal to me. And let's make sure that you get all the tax breaks that the big boys get. The reason people don't get them is because they don't look for them and they think they're too small or too inconsequential. So that leads me to people ask me what the number one benefit of the big beautiful tax law is for business owners. And I would say this: it creates awareness. Anytime the law changes and anytime there's significant legislation, it gets people thinking about their taxes and what they do and gets you out of a state of complacency. So come on in, let's talk about it, let's go over it, and let's get you the tax plan you need to help you to build a financial legacy for you and your family. So that I think is the number one thing. The other thing is, and the biggest thing as far as monetarily is concerned, is the QBI deduction, the qualified basic income deduction, which was the biggest tax saving feature ever put in for small business owners. That was renewed and extended. And that's a 20% deduction on your net business income, and will help a lot of taxpayers. A lot of business owners pay a lot less in taxes. So that is very, very good. Now there's some other features like the deduction for electric vehicle tax credit. The tax credit for electric vehicles expires September 30th. We need to talk a little bit about tips and overtime. Now they are in some circumstances not taxable anymore, and that's probably going to be a lot of record keeping for us as small business owners, and we've got to take advantage of that and understand that we do have some additional record keeping that's going to be required. So we need to make sure that we keep your books up to date, we keep them current, so we're not penalizing our employees by not qualifying or categorizing the tips and overtime properly. Now let me say all this. No, you can't lower the salary of somebody in your office to $1 a year and pay her tips the rest of the year. That's not going to work. It's tips that are customary in the industry. And the same thing with overtime. You know, there may be some workarounds, but I would definitely look at whether or not what you choose to do qualifies as overtime. And we need to sit down and talk about that one-on-one so you understand it. Now, also to make record keeping a little bit easier, now we only have to do 1099s to contract workers that make $2,000 a year, and apparently that's going to be indexed for inflation at some point. And so that's up from the existing $600. So if you hire somebody to do some contract work in your business and you pay them $1,000, in the past you would have to send them a 1099. Now it has to be $2,000 before it's required. That said, remember, every dime you make has to be included in your gross income, so you can't automatically exclude it just because you don't get a 1099 on it if you are a self-employed person. So let's keep that in mind. Let's make sure we report all our income so we can go ahead and take advantage of all the available tax deductions. Now, on the personal side, car interest is going to be deductible to some extent. State and local taxes, which has been deductible up to $10,000, it was increased to $40,000, and that's very, very can be very significant for folks. Also, mortgage interest is deductible only to mortgages up to $750,000. So as a tax planning tip to a business owner, maybe we can look at that and say, all right, you went ahead and you got a home equity line of credit, or you refinance, you got cash out and use some of that money to start your business. Does that no longer qualifies as mortgage interest and maybe can be deducted as investment interest. So that's something we'll have to look at and analyze when we see your particular information. One of the things I'm always curious about is the questions that are asked when I give presentations. And the first question I was asked is why are we not informed about some of the things that are available to us tax-wise? And I say that, well, the number one reason why a question isn't answered is because it's not asked. And you are busy as a small business owner. You're doing this, you're doing that, you're running your business, you're managing your business, you're working in your business, you've got a lot of stuff going on. So you don't have the wherewithal sometimes to come up with the right questions to ask. And your accountant might be the most knowledgeable person in the world, and he might be able to give you a long, detailed answer to the questions that you have. But if you don't ask him, he doesn't think to tell you. So what I believe my job is to anticipate your questions, anticipate what is important to you, and to give that information to you proactively rather than reactively. And I think that is a talent that is acquired through years and decades of experience, and knowing that every business owner has some commonality. What we need to do, what you and I need to do, is we need to sit down, we need to talk about your personal situation, we need to talk about your legacy building, your business succession. What is your plan? Where do you want to be? Where do you want to go? How do you want to get there? Do you have 1 unit now? Do you want to go to 5 units? You have 5 units? You want to go to 20 units? You got 20 units? You want to go to 100 units? Whatever it is. Let's figure it out. And let's put it in an orderly pattern. You have your children that want to continue in your business when you retire. Do you want to sell your business? Do we need to work very diligently to make sure your business is sellable? It's really, really, really hard to get value for the sale of your business if you're underreporting your income, aside from the fact that it's criminal. So let's keep that all in mind as we go. Somebody also asked me what the number one deduction that is missed by small business owners. And one of them I like to say is retirement plans. Retirement plans are hyper efficient because you're taking money from one pocket, you're putting it in another, you're promising not to spend that money for a period of time, and you're getting a tax deduction for that. If you're solo employed, that's magnificent. If you're self-employed and you have employees, that's also a tremendous benefit, as it may or may not be of value to keeping and retaining and fairly compensating your employees. So that's something we always want to say. You got good employees. How do you keep them, right? That's a huge aspect to your business that always needs to be considered. It's terrible to have to start from scratch every Monday because everybody quit. And you can see it just in businesses that you frequent, and they have a lot of turnover, and it's chaotic sometimes to be in there, and it's chaotic to work with. To go into that place of business, try to buy something, whether it be retail or whatever, if they have untrained, unmotivated, unhappy employees, the issue is glaring, and you see it all the time, and makes it hesitant to go back there. So don't be that person, right? Find a way to take care of your people, which is a little bit off the subject, but I think is terribly relevant. Some of the other things that people were talked about were a little bit smaller, a little bit industry specific, and we did set up some meetings to have a one-on-one planning and a one-on-one meeting with people so we could understand their specific circumstance and see what would apply to them. You don't want to get to be the point where you decide it's time to retire and you're ready to walk out, you're ready to go, and your business isn't sellable, and you haven't acquired enough work, you haven't set up a retirement plan, and you have not taken care of your future self over the years. And we need to make sure that happens, and it starts now and it starts soon. And that you do have a sellable business and you do have created some assets. Because that was a topic, and I guess some of the folks in that group were a little bit older, and they were asking me that question. How do you make it a sellable business? Especially if your business is so dependent upon you, your name, and your reputation. How do we take that feature and make it generic enough so it would be a sellable business? Again, that would have a lot to do with making it a little bit more generic, a little bit taking yourself out of some of the day-to-day functions, so people can come in and they can deal with other employees, they can deal with other people in the business, and get you kind of detached from the day-to-day work. So then people will understand that that business can and will continue with you perhaps going from full-time to part-time and then winding down, whether it's your children running the business or whether you sell it to somebody else. So that's something we can certainly sit down and discuss. And the more that I know about your business and the more I know about your plans in your future, the more I can help you grow, manage, and get, well, like I say, get better at what you do, smarter at how you do it, and richer for having done it. We can make sure that your future self is taken care of, and that all of this isn't in vain, and you're not sitting there when you're 70 years old and saying, "Oh, I'm ready to jump out of this thing. All right, what do I do now?" So let's figure it out. Again, or if I haven't mentioned it, I'm John Quattrocchi. I'm a CPA. I am the financial arm to people's small business. That small business, that's a big deal to them. We want to take care of your future. We want to take care of you. And we want to make sure that your efforts are efficient and rewarding. So let's talk. Let's meet. Let's get together soon. I'm right here. There's nobody in the lobby right now, so come on in. All right, we'll talk soon. Thanks.